Oh, so why I want to go back to school, cut my hair, and grow up? Oh, I think it's time to grow up. I mean, I just kind of think, get rid of all those posters and stuff, and it's kind of childish, and I guess rap or hip hop would almost be considered childish in a way, and a lot of grown-ups, a lot of us grown-up guys and women, women probably mature faster than some of us men, but there are some men that, do mature, but maybe I just wasn't mature. Maybe, maybe I'm too straight for for some people. But I mean, I think it's just time. I have homework, and I have to do something for my person I'm meeting up with, and she wants me to do an autobiography and stuff, and I've been working on it, and ever since I was a baby, she wanted 10 pages for 1 year. And she's asking me, well, how old are you, Daniel? And I'm like, well, I'm 31. I just turned 31. And she's like, well, 10 times 31, that's how many pages you have to write. And I'm like, dang, you mean 10 pages for a year? So she wants, that kind of done. And, I don't think it's actually due at all. It's not due it's not due this Saturday, or it's not due next Monday or something. No, It's well, as far as I know, it won't be due till at least July of next year, maybe. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'd be nice if we can get it done. So I have all this, this whole year to do it. And, I've been doing it since August straight through. So, yeah, so I have to keep doing it. And, and excuse me, I got lots to work on. I mean, I put down, I put down my life, some stuff on Facebook, things I liked and don't like, and how I handled it, and I just put down where I worked at. I worked this job all the way to now and stuff, and what happened in between, what happened here, what triggered this to cause me to leave that place or that place and all that, and I had to do all that, and was there anything else going on in my family, or stuff with my family, and having, looking back and realizing, boy, I've been through a lot. I mean, my parents divorced when I was, turning 10 years old. I'm 31. My parents been divorced that long, and my dad got remarried. Wow. And my dad's had plenty of girlfriends even before he got remarried. And I'm like, wow. And, and they want all that stuff. And I'm like, so, I have to go remember this person's name and that person's name and that person I didn't like and all that other stuff. And she was pretty cool and all this, and my brother, and sometimes I don't remember all that stuff. What? So I'm gonna have to say what happened when I was 1 year old, 2 years old, 3 years old. God, I'm gonna be making stuff up. I remember a lot of the accidents and stuff, or all the big stuff, that happened. When I was a little kid and I drove my dad's vehicle, and he left it running, and here I was like a kindergartner, first grader or something, and he leaves it running because he's picking me up at my Aunt Mary's, and all of a sudden I get in there, and then I all of a sudden move the stick, and here I'm driving down across the street close to Cole Elementary, because they lived that close to Cole Elementary. They were right across the street, and here I go over there, and good thing the neighbor kid saw me, and I have to put all that stuff in there, and I'm like, ugh. I remember even after that I went back to my Aunt Mary's, and I was drinking a glass of water, and gulp gulp, and wow, and I have to put all this stuff, I'm doing all this homework, it sucks. I'm like, oh God. But they almost make it sound like it doesn't have to be typed. It can be if it wants to be. So it's almost like, oh, so you're not really strict on that, because I remember in school your teachers were strict, and then I remember in high school and junior high, your teachers were nagging you, and then your mom and dad, or at least your mom, she'd always nag me, you need to go to school. I know you don't like it. I know you want to drop out, but you need to go to school. Because I hated school. I hated going to school every morning. It just got old. I just went the, school year, the end of August to June, the beginning of June. Well, I have a job here, and I work straight through. I think that's hell itself. Sometimes I don't like getting up. Sometimes I don't want to grow up. but I've been doing pretty good. I mean, I'm still living here, and I've lived here for 10 years. I haven't moved, so that's a good sign that I was brought up pretty well. And right now, I don't want to have kids. I just want to grow up, just me and my partner, and that's it, because that's all that I would need. I don't really want to have a family. I mean, I think when I was a kid, I did want to have a family, but it just didn't turn out that way. I was always busy with work, and my other family, my mom and dad, and she's moving to Boulder, and then she's coming back, and then they're all having family functions and stuff, and then all this stuff's going on, and then my dad and sister don't get along, and they never will get along because he doesn't like her lifestyle. And it's like, well, how old are you, and how old is she, and can you grow up? Right after this lady was talking to me about my posters and stuff, and because she went into my place, just to talk to me about that, and she's like, well, how old are you, Daniel? And I said I was 30, just turned 31, and she's like, well, how old do you date? What age range do you date? And I said, well, around my age to about a little bit older, because I don't really care too much for the younger generation, because they're kind of immature. They're, and and she's like, well, look at those posters, the Pamela Anderson one and Little Kim and Nicki Minaj, where they kind of show part of their bosom part. I mean, their nipples are covered up, but or like those pictures with DMX with his shirt off, or I'm trying to think, 50 Cent or Charles Dara had his shirt off, and she's thinking, well, I kind of thought you may be a high school, if not college, 18, 19, 20 years old. And I'm like, well, okay, you think that. But I guess it's just time for some of us to grow up. And I wonder if my dad will ever grow up. That's why I wrote the song DJ Rivera as Himself, because it was talking about my father as himself, my sisters as themselves, and DJ Rivera as himself. Now keep in mind, I didn't put down my brother's name. I didn't say my brother as himself, because I didn't know there was anything going on with him and my dad. I think those two get along, as far as I know. But me being the youngest, you've seen a lot of shit that the older siblings didn't see. You see a lot of shit, and you're like, whoa. So this is what happens when people grow up in their 20s and 30s. Ugh. Scary. Watch out. Watch out.